Greetings, Bat Family, and welcome back to Holy BatCast, brought to you by Real Fans for Real Movies. Visit our website, holybatcast.com, or find us on social media on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, or YouTube. Just search for Holy BatCast and you will find us. And if you really love the show, you want to help support it, you can do that on Patreon. You can go to patreon.com/holybatcast, and we would appreciate it if you would do that. You don't have to. It's okay if you don't, but we do appreciate all our patrons. And so, got to give a shout out to another new patron, Mr. Brent Lee. Hello, Brent. Thank you so much for your support. We really appreciate it. You're awesome. Welcome to our Bat family. You can be Damian Wayne, I guess. Sure. Yeah. Brent. Sounds like a good Damian alter ego. So no, Brent, it is appreciated. And again, a big thank you to all our patrons who make our lives that much easier. We could not do it without you, and especially you today, Brent. You are our VIP. We're part of the Real Fans Podcast Network. You can check out all those shows at rf4rm.com. And as always, I'm Andy DiGenova. You can follow me on Twitter or on Instagram. It's just my name, Andy DiGenova. Now this episode, we have a buttload of news to get through, so it's going to be like really quick, kind of like boom, 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 news, our thoughts, and move it along, because we could do an episode on any one of these news stories, but there's been so much over the past couple weeks that we have not been able to talk about, so we're going to get through that, and then we're going to do our best to get through a bunch of your questions in the Wayne Manor mailbox. Joining me for all that fun, it's the original dynamic duo is back. We finally got rid of the koala bear, and now it's just back to the OG. It's Jamie Drewley. Hey, Jamie.
Are you trying to call me a dick? Is that what you were saying with this original dynamic duo thing? Because that's kind of how I took that.
Well, I mean, like, but in a good way? Like a Grayson, like a Dick Grayson.
Okay. All right.
Which is a compliment. He's great.
See, this people, I get up at 5 a.m. to do a podcast with him, and he calls me a dick. This is how it works.
But it's like a term of endearment, you know? It's like
at least you didn't call me that Australian C word.
Exactly, so you know? That. It's like when I call my people, bitch, what's up, bitch? It's out of love, you know? But anyway, thanks for getting up.
I don't imagine that dick has that same context. I mean, if you walk around and go, where my dick at? People would really look at you funny.
That is true. That is accurate. But maybe we should make it happen. Maybe we should take it back.
We could take it back.
We're taking it back. We're taking dick back. Where my dick's at? Give it up, my dicks.
I'm going to start doing that this weekend just to see the reactions I get from people.
Please do. And it all started right here.
And then my wife will make me walk home from wherever we're at. I'm sure.
That's
totally
okay.
worth it. Totally worth it.
Well, it's good to have you back, and it is nice, old school, you know? Kicking it like it's 2017.
It feels so unusual.
I know. I didn't even know we could still do this.
It seems odd.
You know what it's like? It's like a couple who, like, they have kids, and then, like, it's been a really long time since they have a date night, and then they go on the date night, and they're like, oh, how do we do this? I forgot.
Yeah. As somebody who hasn't had a date night with his wife in about, I don't know, 6-7 months, something like that. Yeah, I fully agree with that.
Well, you know what? Order whatever you want. It's my treat, Jamie.
Awesome. I'll have triple lobster tails.
Wonderful. And bring us a bloomin' onion in honor of our child that we left at home this week. Anyway, it is good to be back. Thanks for joining. Thanks for getting up early. And, of course, yeah, Brendan has a lot going on because that little baby is getting really close to coming. So they've got a lot happening. So we're sending our best to Jess, I guess Brendan, but mostly Jess. Jess, we love you. We hope you're doing well.
Yeah, she's the one doing all the work here.
Yeah, Jess, sending you lots of love and strength over the next month or so to bring that new child into the world. Brendan, fuck off. So, all right. Well, you want to talk about some stuff?
Yeah, why not?
Some DC news. All right, let's start animation because we knew that we were getting an animated version of Batman: The Long Halloween, and we finally got some info to back that up, including a voice cast. We got one still image from the movie, and then the voice cast. We welcome back to the Bat family Mr. Jensen Ackles but he's been promoted. He is Red Hood no more. Now he is Batman. So that's pretty rad. He was very excited about it on Twitter, which is great. But he's not alone. So we also have Naya Rivera as Catwoman, Josh Duhamel as Harvey Dent, Billy Burke as James Gordon, Titus Welliver as Carmine Falcone. Gotham messed that up for me forever. David Dastmalchian, the old standby. If you're doing anything live action comic book, you get him. And now I guess animation too. He's Calendar Man. Troy Baker as the Joker. Amy Landecker as Barbara Gordon. Julie Nathanson as Gilda Dent. Jack Quaid as Alberto. Fred Tatasciore as Solomon Grundy. Alistair Duncan as Alfred. This is directed by Chris Palmer. The script was by Tim Sheridan. They recently worked together on Superman, Man of Tomorrow. So,
which I still have not seen, even though it's right there in front of me on HBO Max.
You know,
we should do an episode on that.
We need
to do.
Yeah, we are behind. We need to do, but I will tell you, I finally got around to watching it, and I liked it a lot.
I haven't heard anybody say anything bad about it, but oddly enough, I also haven't heard a lot of people talk about it either. So
yeah, you're right. I kind of forgot about it, to be honest, but I remember liking it.
I guess when you release a new movie in the middle of a pandemic, people's focuses are shifted elsewhere or something.
Yeah, it's true. So, what are your thoughts on Long Halloween?
I'm obviously very interested to see what they do with it. This is one that I hope that they change less versus more, because some of these animated movies take a lot of creative liberties, some to a benefit, some to detriment. This one I'm really hoping stays as close to the source material as possible. This is a big one that people have been asking for a long time. You and I have wanted this for a long time, so my hopes are in check, but I'm excited to see what they turn out.
Yeah, same here. Was this a two-parter, or was it just one?
So.
I thought it was two-parter as well, but it doesn't say anything about that in this article that I'm looking at. So I'm just kind of trusting my memory, which is always a mistake. But yeah, I thought this was going to be in two parts, because obviously the book is so long. In order to get it all, you kind of have to do two parts.
Well, I mean, here's the thing. That is a long book, but it's not a long read, if that makes any sense. Like, a lot of it is just splash panels and there's not like a lot of dialogue or anything. But even though I'm pretty sure you could fit it down into a 90-ish minute, give or take, movie, I question whether or not the pacing would feel off at that point.
Yeah.
Because I know I can read that book in an hour. I know I can.
Wow.
But I also tend to read comics fairly fast, especially ones that I've read previously, because I don't stop to look at the artwork and focus on it quite as much or anything like that.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll see. Again, I remember them saying two parts, but again, that could have just been the rumor before they officially announced it. So my bad if I got that wrong, but I'm excited about it. This is one of my favorite Batman stories. I'm really excited to see what it looks like, how they try to translate the art style, because the image they released, it's a very cool image, but it doesn't give you a lot. It's just sort of Batman mostly in silhouette and then sort of the back of a crook's head as he's looking at Batman. So it's not super revealing as far as what the art style will look like, but I like it. And I think it's super cool that Jensen Ackles is back. We all loved his performance as Jason Todd in Under the Red Hood. He is sort of a member of the overall geek family. And so, yeah, to get to do Batman, good for him. And again, he tweeted something out that he was really excited, which you always love to see that.
It'll be curious to see what he does with that voice, because in my head right now, I'm not hearing it because I'm used to seeing him. I think he was in the if I'm not mistaken, the My Bloody Valentine remake back in like 2009.
Yes. I love that that's what you went to. Like I expected you to say Supernatural.
I've never seen an episode of that show.
Well, he was starred in Supernatural for 57 years.
It seems that way.
That's how many seasons it went to.
Yeah. But honestly, that's really the only thing I've seen him in that wasn't like an animated movie that I can think of off the top of my head anyway. And even though that movie's silly and actually not particularly good, I do love it.
I agree with that. It's not a good movie, but I'm happy to watch it, especially on the 3D TV.
Yes, and frankly, that's one of the films that if you try and watch it without the 3D, it just doesn't work.
It's even worse, yeah, for sure. Yeah. So looking at this cast list, the other thing that jumped out to me, and I even had to check, was Naya Rivera. I was like, wait, Naya Rivera from Glee, the one who passed away last year? And yeah, sure enough, I must have missed this, that she was doing Catwoman. I think it's awesome that she got to do Catwoman before she passed, but it's also just really tragic. I'm still really sad about that. That was like such a tragic story. So I don't know, like a great, I guess a great little tribute to her to be able to play this role, how do you say it, posthumously? Something like that?
Posthumously.
That's
like
right,
that. Yeah.
Posthumously. Wow. For once you said it right.
That's very unusual.
But
I should just hang up now. I should quit while I'm on.
And that'll do it for this episode. Thank you. But yeah, like I didn't know that. I think it's like sadly cool. Cool that she got to do it, but yeah, it's just sad at the same time.
I have no familiarity with her or even what you're talking about. That doesn't register with me.
Oh, she was a delight on Glee. She was amazing. But yeah, last year she passed away. She drowned. She went out on a boat with her son. And
oh, yes, I did hear about that.
And the undertow grabbed her, and she managed to get her son back in the boat before it pulled her down. And then they found her like 3 days later. So tragic. Because she's young and smart as a whip and talented and a mom, and God, it's just horrible. She was so cool. So again, I'm grateful that she did get to do this before she passed. So very cool. No release date yet, but I'm excited. Gonna have a holiday movie. It's gonna be all the holiday movies. I can watch it at every holiday.
It would stand to reason that sometime in October would be the logical time of release.
Oh my God! Stop with your logic. That's ridiculous.
I should. Undoubtedly, they'll wait till like November 8th to release it.
Yeah, they don't do it like that. All right.
That's what Hollywood tends to do with horror films. They release them in like November and January and all this other stuff. It's like I never get horror movies released in October unless it's actually a Halloween movie.
Yep. Well, and even that was a recent thing. For years, they were releasing the Halloween movies in the summer, which was ridiculous.
That's right.
All right. Well, cool. I can't wait. I'm really looking forward to that. But you know what I hope you weren't looking forward to, Jamie?
Probably New Gods in the Trench.
That is correct. I hope you weren't looking forward to those because those ain't happening. So this just came out actually today where I'm at. It came out while I slept. And so there was a statement by Warner Brothers, and it says, as part of our DC slate, some legacy development titles, including The New Gods and The Trench, will not be moving forward. We thank our partners Ava DuVernay, Tom King, James Wan, and Peter Safran for their time and collaboration during this process, and look forward to our continued partnership with them on other DC stories. The projects will remain in their skillful hands if they were to ever move forward in the future. And then Ava DuVernay, she tweeted out a message to Tom King, who she was writing the film with. She said, Tom, I loved writing New Gods with you. I'm upset that the saga of Barda, Scott, Granny, Highfather, and the Furies ends this way. Diving into Kirby's fourth world was the adventure of a lifetime. That can't be taken away. Thank you for your friendship. And remember, Darkseid is. So this came out today. Too much turmoil and drama online, as most DC news is met with. But yeah, what's your take on these two films not moving forward?
Well, excuse me. My first reaction was everybody check the date on this article because I think they're screwing with us. And of course, everybody had to quickly point out, yeah, it's kind of a coincidence that it was released today, but it's legit. So yeah, that kind of stopped me in my tracks with that. My first reaction was paging HBO Max.
Mm-hmm.
Then my second reaction was like almost instantaneously after that, I'm like, wait a second, today's April 1st. Maybe we should hit the brakes on this for a second. But I said an episode or two ago, I don't really need a trench movie, but I'll be happy to watch it. So that one doesn't really bother me so much. I'm frankly surprised that ever made it to development, except for the fact that, Juan had an extremely successful movie under the DC umbrella, and they probably said, would you like to proceed with anything else here since you did so well for us on this? Mm-hmm. And he said, maybe I'd like to tell this story. And it's interesting. It's a different angle. It's in the superhero realm, but it's not traditional superhero movie storytelling. So I was along for that ride. I was very interested to see what was going to be done. But again, I'm very surprised that was ever something that made it past maybe we should think about trying this phase, which apparently it really didn't. The New Gods thing, I'm kind of surprised about that, because they seem to like Ava DuVernay. They basically went to her and said, what of this would you like to pick? And she said, this is what I want to do. And the fact that they don't want to do it tells me that either they have something else that they want to get in front of this stuff and they don't want to spend the money, or she and Tom King never produced something that the executives thought was worth investing because New Gods isn't going to be a cheap film. Let's face it. I mean, that's a $200+ million movie.
Well, not if you pull a Masters of the Universe and just make them all come to Southern California.
That's exactly what I want from a New Gods film.
You just open up on the fourth world, and 10 minutes in, they all get zapped to Burbank. And crazy shenanigans ensue.
The New Gods running around Burbank in a soundstage.
We could have Big Barda do like a dressing up montage at Sears or something. Gonna dress you up in my love. And Granny Goodness is like, thumbs down. And then she comes out in like a leather jacket, and Granny Goodness is like, thumbs up. And then they go out onto the town.
See, you were talking about that, and all I was thinking was the Dumb and Dumber scene where they tried on the different suits. Anyway, I really would have liked to have seen that, just because it's same thing I said about the Trench. It's in the superhero realm, but it's not exactly what you'd call traditional superhero fare that we've seen before. So I'm interested in people producing new stuff in these worlds versus just a bunch of people in capes fighting robots and aliens and mass hordes and all that other stuff. I mean, that's frankly pretty much played at this point. So let's come up with something new. And these were new and fresh ideas. So I really was curious to see what came out of it. And I'm kind of disappointed that we're apparently not going to find out now. But again, paging HBO Max, I mean, if they want to invest the money in it from their end.
Yeah.
I mean, people talk, I mean, just real quick, people talk all the time about whether or not these streaming services can maintain these movies. And one of the big news articles that broke a day or two ago was Netflix just dropped $450 million to get the sequels to Knives Out. Mm-hmm. You don't drop that kind of scratch unless you're going to get some return on that money, people.
Yep. So I guess I'll start by saying I'm not that upset. I'm like a tiny bit disappointed because it's less DC movies on the current slate, but of the ones that were in development that we already knew about, these are probably the two that to get canceled are going to bother me the least. Obviously, I was certainly down for both of them. I think nobody expected a Trench movie anyway. And even when that announcement happened, we were all kind of like, wait, what? What? It kind of came out of nowhere. It wasn't the movie that anyone was asking for. So I feel like there wasn't even an initial excitement about it. More just that'll be interesting. I'm curious as to what that'll be. I was into it because it's James Wan and because it's the world of Aquaman. And I thought it'd be a great opportunity to do like a Calder movie or a Garth movie or one of the other characters from Atlantis or something. But it was always going to be a long shot. So you know what? You win some, you lose some. It's fine. I'm much more interested in what James Wan's got up his sleeve for Aquaman 2 anyway. That's more important to me. And then as for New Gods, I certainly was looking forward to it. I like Mr. Miracle. I like Big Barda. I like the Furies. I like these characters, but it was also somewhat of a surprising choice to do a big budget movie on, because these aren't particularly well-known characters. When you think about the entire DC universe, a New Gods movie was always something of a wild card. I think that the biggest plus in that column was getting Ava DuVernay interested in it, because she's a big talent and they wanted to play ball with her, so they developed it. There have been a lot of speculation, and some of it seems like there's some backup as far as why this could have been canceled. Some of it said like the scope was more than just a movie. It would have been many movies or something like that, and they weren't able to get it to one movie. There's also talk of just the plans are changing for the DC slate, and this is something that's been in development for a couple of years, and it no longer fits into the slate or the direction that they're trying to go in now. There was a little bit out there about, oh, well, we just saw Darkseid and Zack Snyder's Justice League, and now it's too soon to dive back into the world. I don't really buy that. That didn't even come from the original article. It came from another article covering the original article, so it almost felt like a little bit of editorializing. It doesn't seem like that was an official statement, but didn't stop people from overreacting to that statement. So I would have totally been first in line for a New Gods movie. I think it would have been very cool, but at the same time, if you're going to give me the choice between New Gods or The Flash or The Batman or Green Lantern or New Gods is the one I'm going to miss the least, excuse me. So I also think that as DC fans now, we've been going through this for a long time. There have been a lot of projects that have been announced in development, and they just quietly disappear. We never hear about them again. We should be used to it by this point. I'm used to it by this point. So it goes to your old thing. Is like, yeah, I'll believe it when I see a trailer. I'm not going that far, but for me, I'll believe it when it goes into production. In the meantime, it's fun to hear these announcements. It's fun to hear what they're developing. But yeah, I don't buy the tickets until I know the movie's actually happening. And these are two that have been quiet for a while. So I wasn't lined up for them anyway, because I thought they were always going to be long shots. So I get the disappointment. I certainly would have been very interested to see how they would have turned out, but I'm not brokenhearted because we still have a pretty awesome slate coming our way.
Yeah, I'll ride that train with you.
But speaking of new things in development, I think you'll be excited about this. There is a Tana film in development.
Maybe.
It's in development. Doesn't mean it's going to happen.
I am certainly intrigued by this because this director apparently I have not seen Promising Young Woman yet. I really want to, but thematically that seems like one I'm going to be watching by myself instead of with the family. So yeah, I just haven't had time by myself to sit down and check it out, but the buzz around that thing is really strong. So having I think it's the writer-director for that helm this sounds like it could be intriguing, to say the least.
Yeah. So her name is Emerald Fennell. She wrote and directed Promising Young Woman. Absolutely see it. It's not always a fun watch, but it's a great movie. It stayed with me for days afterwards. It's great, but it's it can be sobering as well. But
so it's like Sucker Punch.
Sure. Yes. So. Oh, okay. But it was great. It was one of the best movies of the year, like nominated for Oscars. And so I think it was very smart of WB to grab Emerald Fennell, who's hot young rising talent, and go, hey, do you want to join the DC family? I love Zatanna as a character. I think Zatanna is one of the most unique superheroes in the DC universe. She is a great, strong female hero. And I've said this before. What I love about her is so many of our female superheroes are spin-offs of our male ones, like Supergirl, Batgirl, Batwoman, and I love that Zatanna is very much her own thing. And so, yeah, I think there's a lot of promise in this. I'm all for it. I hope it continues to move forward. But as I just said, just don't book it yet. You got to wait and see what happens in the development process. But I do think that this is promising. It's a promising young project, if you will.
I see what you did there.
Yeah.
So I think what we have here is the exact situation we had with Ava is they have somebody that they want in their stable working their stuff so that they have a powerhouse name behind it. or a buzzworthy name behind it. And they probably approached her and said, if you did a DC film, which of these would you like to do? And she probably picked Zatanna.
Mm-hmm.
That's my guess. I don't know that for sure, but it feels like the same kind of scenario, that they want to strike while the iron's hot with these people, and they're just kind of offering them that slate. So I would guess, again, this is purely speculation on my part, that they're going to wait until the treatment or early script comes in for it and see what she turned out. And if they like it, they'll go with it. And if they don't, then they won't.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. But it could be super cool. Well, we'll see if and when that movie is released, but we are now going to see we now know when Black Adam will be released. So earlier this week, Black Adam is just about to go into production, and so they officially announced the release date. And you know what's crazy is this is how I don't know if it's how much I've not been paying attention, or if it's just I just can't keep track anymore. I forgot that Black Adam was without a release date. I forgot when they reshuffled, they hadn't set a new release date for Black Adam. So when this happened, I was like, wait, I thought we already knew when it was coming out. I forgot that they changed it. So point is, The Rock went onto Instagram and he shared this big announcement. It was like all these video screens in Times Square. But we now know that we will see Black Adam on July 29th of 2022.
That feels like it should be forever away, but it's not even a year and a half.
That is true. That's a great point. So it's not that long away. And I think we said 2022 is going to have 4 DC movies. Is that correct?
Well, they pushed Batman back to 2022. And they'll have this. What would the other 2 be?
The Flash.
No, I haven't seen a trailer yet, so I'm not counting that.
Oh my God, I've got to find it now because someone, less lazy than me, put it up. Here we go. You ready? Yeah. So 2022, The Batman, March 4th, Black Adam, July 29th, The Flash, November 4th, and Aquaman 2, December 16th. So, yep.
Aquaman 2, okay.
4 movies in 2022. If the other ones stay put.
Now, I haven't spent as much time on social media, and certainly not Twitter, obviously, so I haven't been keeping track, but just real quick, has any kind of announcement about the production of the Batman gone cold, or am I crazy?
What do you mean?
Like, I haven't heard word one about anything, like spy photos or anything else, so...
Oh, they wrapped like 2 weeks ago.
Oh, did they?
Yeah,
okay.
Matt Reeves did tweet out a thing saying, last day of principal photography. And it wasn't particularly revealing. It was like the clapboard, and I want to say there were some greeting cards around the clapboard. Which again, leads people to think it's going to be inspired by the Long Halloween. But yeah, so yeah, it did wrap photography a couple of weeks ago, and now they're in post-production.
Huh.
So the more I hear about I always thought it was so weird, a Black Adam movie of all the different, again, like I was saying with New Gods, of all the DC characters, a Black Adam movie, really? But I tell you, the more I hear and the more we get towards production, the more excited I get about it, because it's not just a Black Adam movie. It's a larger DC Universe movie. So obviously The Rock will play Black Adam himself, but he is backed by a heck of a cast here. So we got Aldous Hodge as Hawkman, and he recently tweeted out a photo of his of himself in his Hawkman fighting shape, and let me just say, he has put in the work. I don't know if it was him or if it was chiseled out of stone, but it was impressive.
All right, then.
Noah Centineo is Atom Smasher. Quintessa Swindell is Cyclone. Marwan Kenzari is the film's villain. And Sarah Shahi will be a university professor turned freedom fighter. But what about Dr. Fate? Dr. Fate's got to be in this. And we now know they saved this as a big one right before they start production. We now know who is playing Dr. Fate, and that is none other than Pierce Brosnan.
That's an interesting choice, but one that I kind of like.
It's unexpected, and then you hear it and you go, "That's awesome." You know, like no one would have called it, but then as soon as you hear it and you picture it and you're like, "Oh, that's really cool." I love it. Like I've been hearing Pierce Brosnan as Alfred for 5 years now, but this is much more interesting to me.
Yeah, I think I agree with that. Not that I would object in any way to seeing him as Alfred.
Oh, of course not.
I think it seems more unique and more out of the box, if you will.
Exactly.
You're going to get a British guy to play a British guy that's very refined and well spoken, or you can get him to play an ancient mystic wizard effectively. So yeah, I'm way more interested in this. I agree.
Yeah. Well, and I like the idea of and also mixing up like this Justice Society. So you've got Aldous Hodge as Hawkman, you've got Noah Centineo as Atom Smasher, but like to have Dr. Fate be the older, wiser, elder statesman on the team, that makes a lot of sense. That's something that Dr. Fate could and should be. And Pierce Brosnan just has that sort of presence about him, especially now that he is older. But he's still, in great shape. He still looks great. So I would call this an inspired choice. I think it's really awesome. And for those people listening, if you're going, wait, Pierce Brosnan, who's Pierce Brosnan? He is most famously from the Mamma Mia films.
I mean, yeah, I guess you could make that argument. I would have said that he was from the World's End, but
yeah. Anyway, Catherine definitely made me watch both of those Mamma Mia films. I hope he sings in this too. It'll be good. Let me tell you, if those movies are any evidence, this man's got it. Dr. Fate singing money, money, money.
I can't have him sing. Do you have any idea the reverberation that would happen inside of that helmet if he was trying to belt out some tunes?
It is true. But anyway, this was really awesome, and it was funny. I saw a lot of our fellow DC fans tweeting at Brendan, being like, "Is Brendan dead?" I think he's okay. I think he's still digesting though. Maybe that's why he couldn't join us. Maybe he's still passed out on the couch.
I mean, if they would have got George Lazenby to play Zatara, I think he probably would have lit up a little more.
But no, very cool. Pierce Brosnan, welcome to Black Adam. And again, like each of these announcements just gets me more excited about the movie. I think it's really poised to be something very cool, very unique, and great cast. And yeah, I mean, The Rock is all in on it too. So I know that there were some folks who were hoping that one of these announcements would be that Henry Cavill was going to show up as Superman. No such luck as far as that goes right now. But
I tell you how messed up Hollywood is right now. I feel like it's been like 3 years since I've seen a Rock movie.
Yeah, what's the last one I saw? Hobbs and Shaw?
Either Hobbs and Shaw or Skyscraper, one of the two.
I think Hobbs and Shaw was more recent. I saw that one in China. Skyscraper I saw in the United States, so that's how I know.
And Hobbs and Shaw has been at least 2 years, I think.
Well, it was in China, so it couldn't have been more than 2 years.
It feels like he was in like 2 or 3 movies a year. Like he was turning into the new Samuel L. Jackson. He was just showing up several times a year.
Hobbs and Shaw was summer of 2019.
So it's been about 2 years.
Yeah. Well, and then he's had Jungle Cruise waiting to come out. I think that was already supposed to be out by now, but pandemic.
Yeah.
So we got Pierce Brosnan and Black Adam, but speaking of British actors that everybody loves, we got another one joining not Black Adam, but his pal Shazam in Shazam! Fury of the Gods, and that is Helen Mirren. So Helen Mirren will play a villain, Hespera, the daughter of Atlas, in Shazam! Fury of the Gods.
She's an excellent actress, and she's very lovely. So, yes, I'm very pleased with this.
How can you not love that? It's like, again, unexpected, especially because the way they set up Mr. Mind and everything, didn't necessarily know where they'd be going, but they're certainly going to some unexpected places, and who doesn't love Helen Mirren? If there's anybody out there who doesn't love Helen Mirren, I don't want to know about it. I can't imagine.
I'm saying. I mean, speaking of Hobbs and Shaw, I mean, she was a blast in that.
Oh God, I forgot she was in it, but you're right. She's awesome.
She's one of those actresses that, I mean, she can run with the best classically trained of any of them, but she's still not above playing around with something and having a good time with it. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
She runs that entire gamut of serious comedy, all of that stuff. And I think she does it all very, very well. So this pleases me greatly, and I'm really excited to see what she brings to it.
Yeah, she's one of those actors, and there's a lot of them, where she's so beloved, she's so respected, everybody loves her, that she can do anything she wants, any movie she wants, and it's never considered beneath her. I would put Michael Caine in that category. I would put Ben Kingsley in that category. Morgan Freeman. These type of people that like everybody loves. They're just so great that they can do high art, they can do independent films, or they can do Hobbs and Shaw, and we love them for it no matter what. Like, she was so cool in the Red movies. You remember the Red movies?
Oh, I adore the first one. The second one I wasn't crazy about at all. I didn't care for it, but the first one I absolutely loved it.
Yeah, but like, she's just one of those people. She can do whatever she wants, and I love that she's joining Shazam.
And Brian Cox fits right in that bill with her too.
Yeah,
Speaking of Red.
Exactly. Just those.
He can do it all, and he does it all great.
Right. So that's exciting. More casting news. And then another 2022 film, speaking of casting news, is The Flash, which is going to happen. It's going to happen, damn it.
I'll believe it when I see the trailer.
But it has apparently already started production, but that doesn't mean it has started filming. So they're about to start filming very soon. And I do believe they are getting ready to film, because we continue to get more and more news about it. In fact, we got an email not that long ago on this show basically being like, doesn't it concern you that there's still, roles that haven't been cast and this and that? And I'm like, well, there's still time, and it was almost like they heard that email and they're like, oh, and then they just started casting all the final roles because they're getting ready to shoot. And so we learned that Kiersey Clemons is coming back as Iris. We also got an actor for Nora Allen. It is Maribel Verdú. And then we did learn the sad news that we are losing Billy Crudup due to scheduling. And so we were talking like, oh, does that just mean Henry Allen's not in the movie? Maybe they could. I still hoped they would work it out, but they recast. So I'm still kind of bummed, if I'm being honest. But the recasting is actually a pretty good one. It is Ron Livingston, of course, famously from Office Space, but also The Conjuring. And he is going to be replacing Billy Crudup as Henry Allen in the Flash film. So, Jamie, thoughts?
Like you, I would much prefer they'd stayed with Crudup and not, used him in the film if they didn't have him available for scheduling. But maybe Henry Allen is playing a bigger part in this than I assume, and they just had to have him in there. So I suppose if you're going to recast, it's hard to be disappointed with the choice. Mm-hmm. I like Ron Livingston. He's a really good actor, but I don't know. I would have much rather seen Billy come back.
I know, especially because
what are you going to do?
He's so good in those two scenes in Justice League. He's just such a great actor. And so, yeah, I'm still not over the disappointment that he's not coming back, but I do think that Ron Livingston, he's a good actor himself. If there was no Billy Crudup and they said he's playing Henry Allen, I'd go, great. It's just I got to get over the loss to, before I'm too psyched about this one.
I mean, if he can be in two different places at once in Watchmen, I don't know why he can't do it in this movie.
That's how it works. You're right. Billy Crudup is actually Dr. Manhattan.
Exactly.
I know. So, anyway, it was one of those sort of bittersweet news where I'm still not over the loss of Billy Crudup, but I'm like, Ron Livingston's cool. I'm down. But again, to me, it's just further evidence that, yeah, they're about to kick this thing off in a big way. So I am excited about that. That seems like after, what is it? I think we're at 36 false starts for The Flash. We might actually finally be moving forward.
Believe it when I say a trailer.
Yeah, well, we'll get there. You know what I will tell you real quick before we move on is I finally used my $25 DC Shop credit for the DC Universe Infinite. And so I went on the DC Shop and I was looking at all the T-shirts because God knows the one thing I need more of is geeky T-shirts.
That's exactly what I thought.
It's the one thing that I don't have enough of. But I was looking, and they had quite a few good options. And, of course, I ended up getting more than just one. I got a really cool one with, like, the Batman villains that was, like, old school.
Yep. I looked at that one.
That one, because I'm like, oh, yes, it's like the classic Rogues Gallery. And then I got it was a Zack Snyder's Justice League one. And it's got sort of the Steppenwolf, almost the silhouette in the background and then the team in the front. Mm-hmm. But... Yep. They had shirts of the Flash concept art that they shared at Fandom. So the one of the new Flash
Keaton
suit,
Batman.
and then the one with the Flash and the Keaton Batman. And that one I almost got too, but I was like, oh, wait. But yeah, I was very tempted because I was not expecting to see that on a shirt already.
I gave consideration to that, and I was like, no. Ultimately, what I wound up doing was, since they were out of the Funkos that I would have liked to have had from Zack Snyder's Justice League, I got my very first Batman T-shirt from back when I was like, gosh, I don't know, 12 or 13 years old was the, well, you know, I probably had them when I was a kid too that I'm not remembering. But like the first one I can remember buying was a gray Batman T-shirt with the kind of the 60s logo that they used on the 66 TV series, and it was on the comic covers back then. So I got a black shirt with that logo on it because I hadn't had one with that logo for a while. And then, like, 2 days later, they're like, pre-order your Desaad Funko Pop. I'm like, you sons of bitches.
That's how they get you.
Yeah. My favorite part of that was, you have this $25 voucher. I'm like, cool. And the shirts just all happen to be $25.
Yep.
And then they ding you for $10 shipping.
Yep.
So I technically have a $10 Batman shirt instead of a free one now.
But it was the one you just described. I was also very tempted by because it was really cool. So I think you made a good choice.
Well, I just got it in the mail. It's probably been out in the mailbox for like 5 or 6 days, but I just got it out of the mail yesterday, and I tried it on, and I got to be honest, I'm kind of disappointed with the fabric. It's feeling flea market cheap. We'll see how bad it shrinks the first time I run it through the wash. I might send it to you for your birthday this year.
Great. I'll sleep in it. It's funny, I'm still out here in Beijing, but now I'm so close to being done. I'm not having anything sent to me here because I'll be home soon. So I've been sending everything to Scott, and that poor guy, he's like, dude, you are gonna have so much to open when you get here, and I'm like, I know, it'll be fun. It'll be like Christmas. I'll forget what I bought myself.
I just have this picture of like 7-foot stacks of Amazon boxes along the wall outside of his door.
I don't think you're wrong. It's. The best is that last year, when I moved to China, so we're getting close to 2 years ago now, I ordered the Sideshow Gambit statue, and it's huge. And I ordered it because I'm like, well, I'll do the payment plan, and honestly, like, by the time they release it, it'll almost be time for me to come home. Well, they finally released it and shipped it out. They shipped it out to Scott's. And he's like, what is this huge box? I'm like, oh, does it say Sideshow on it? So, yeah, it's just this massive thing. But I'm like, yay. So I have this amazing Gambit thing when I get home. But, yeah, poor guy. He's a good friend for taking care of all that stuff for me.
Indeed.
All right. Anyway, so that is the latest on the Flash. You know what would be really great is if they commemorate the first day of shooting with like Ezra Miller in the new suit, and then you'll believe it.
Nope, trailer.
Okay, well, fine. Anyway, if you really want a trailer, I got a trailer for you because we got to see not one, but 2 trailers this week for the Suicide Squad. So we got a red band one, and then we got what do you call it? I guess a green band one that came out with Godzilla vs. Kong. So we're not going to do like a beat by beat breakdown because still we're trying to go fast and we're already quite a ways into this thing. But 2 versions of the trailer. Did you watch them both, Jamie?
No.
Oh, really?
I did not. I watched the first one time, and then I saw yesterday that people were talking about the second one, and I just didn't care.
Well, okay then. So, with that said, tell me about how much you loved the first one, the red band one.
It looks like exactly what I was hoping it was not going to be. If you're excited for this movie, great. I don't want to take nothing away from you. This does not look like a movie that's made for me, nor does it look like anything that I'm even remotely interested in. And that's not to say I'm not going to watch it. I will, because it'll be right here in front of me on HBO Max. But if somebody wanted to charge me $10 or $12 to watch this, I'd really have to second guess it.
Mm-hmm.
I simply don't feel the vibe of it. It's not. I hope I'm wrong. I hope I'm surprised, because I'm going in with impossibly low expectations, but I'm not feeling it. I'm sorry.
I get it. So I watched them both. I do think that the Green Band one is better. I liked it better. But I didn't love either of them. I think they both were fine. I'm kind of mixed on them. And I think that's wise. It's very much James Gunn's Suicide Squad, and I have very mixed feelings on James Gunn. You know, I don't love his work. I don't hate it. I just think that he's not nearly as funny as he seems to think he is. And the movies just reek of that, and I think this does too. So honestly, the things that I liked about the trailer the most were seeing the members of the Suicide Squad return from the original film, which is, I think, the opposite of what they're going for. They're trying to not make me think about the last film, because a lot of people don't like that movie, but I like that movie. And so I just got excited to go, oh, good. Harley's back. Captain Boomerang's back. Rick Flag is back. Amanda Waller is back. Like, those are the people I'm excited about. And, you know, it certainly looks like there's some entertainment there. I appreciate the more comic booky aesthetic that he's going for. I do appreciate that. You know, there are things to like there, but it also just has that James Gunn, look how funny I am, wink, wink, a big old field of dicks, isn't that hilarious? You know, it's got that vibe that it just gets to be a bit much as far as I'm concerned. So I'm still looking forward to it, but yeah, I'm not like bouncing off the walls in excitement for it. For the people who like, that's your thing, and it's funny, I have seen a lot of reactions kind of all over the place of people going, oh my God, this looks so good, I can't wait. And if you're one of those people, that's awesome, great, like, I'm excited for you. I've seen quite a bit kind of where I'm at, which is like, oh, okay, like, I like parts of it. And then, yeah, I've seen a little bit from you, Jamie, where you're like, this is just not for me. So, yeah, the Green Band trailer was it was a little more. I mean, it still had the same vibe. It was still tonally consistent. It just, I don't know. I guess it eased you into it a little more. There was a little bit more of the action, which I think looks really fun, and so it just. I don't know. It was a little easier to take, so I appreciated it more. That's where I'm at.
Yeah, it'll probably be another one of those like really super divisive films, I'm guessing. Look, I understand. I'm saying that this isn't made for me, but you know, I've said for a while now, not everything needs to be. Like I said with Batman Ninja, that movie is not for me. I don't really see myself ever having to watch it again, but I'm glad it exists for the people that like that sort of thing, because I have so much other content involved in that universe. I don't care if they make a couple of Batman things that just aren't my bag for people that it would be. I mean, it takes nothing away from the other stuff that I have. Now, Suicide Squad's not important to me the way Batman is, so I don't really care either way, but for people that do lean a little bit more towards the humorous aesthetic or you know, just the type of movie that this is, or even the gun mentality, Cool. I'm glad this exists for you, and I hope you enjoy it, and I hope I enjoy it. But if I don't and you do, cool. I mean, that's fine. Not everything needs to be tailor-made to my taste. It's just the way it goes.
Yeah.
The next thing might be better. The previous things aren't going to change for me, so it's all good.
No, I completely agree with you. And it's funny because even if it's not the one I'm most excited for, I'm always happy for good buzz around the DC universe. And so to see a lot of people excited about it makes me happy. I hope it's successful. That'll make me happy because I think good vibes for DC is good for DC fans. And then that leads to other DC projects, and some might be more my thing. And that's great. You know, like we talked about it way back when. Joker it wasn't a movie that didn't really do it for me. But I was glad it was such a huge hit. I'm glad it was so critically acclaimed. I'm glad for all that. That was a great win for DC, and I'm cheering DC on, even if it's not my bag. And that's where I am with this. I expect to like it more than you probably will. I mean, it's got King Shark. And it is funny that the internet has embraced King Shark, which is good because King Shark is awesome. I don't know why he's so fat. I don't understand why, they gave him such a chubby King Shark, but I just love the character of King Shark, and he's been having a moment thanks to the Harley Quinn series, and the Flash TV show, and the Suicide Squad game, and there's an animated movie with King Shark. Yeah, like King Shark he's been embraced by the fandom, and so I love that he's in this movie. I think that he's going to be a scene stealer. In the trailer, I think some of the best moments are his when he rips that dude in half. That's awesome. I'm into that.
That part I did like, and quite frankly, the best thing to come out of this trailer is the thing that Rooney shared. I don't know where he found it, so I can't give credit where due, but he shared this thing with me, and it had me giggling myself stupid. It's the screenshot of him tearing that guy in half, but it's in black and white, and it says Zack Snyder's SpongeBob SquarePants.
Yes.
I thought that was the funniest thing I saw that week.
Yeah, that was awesome. And I love that shot. And yeah, we now know that he will be voiced by Sylvester Stallone, and you gotta love that. So there's a lot to like about it. I'm not shitting on it. It's just, yeah, it was just some of the one-liners, some of the humors just felt very James Gunny. And if that's your thing, great. It's just, to me, I find it a little much.
Yeah, Gunn, when he shows restraint, I think can work. I really like Guardians of the Galaxy 1. I bought Slither in the iTunes discount bin this past week, and I started watching that last night as I was going to sleep, and got a half hour, 35 minutes into it, whatever. And it's entertaining enough. It's not a great movie, but it's got some fun moments to it. I don't know. I've seen some gun stuff I really like, and I've seen some gun stuff I really didn't.
Yeah. So, and I'm excited about Polka Dot Man. I think he looks great. I love David Dastmalchian, as we were just saying. I love that he's doing another DC character. So I am excited about that. Idris Elba is awesome just unto himself. Bloodsport, I have no feelings on, but it's Idris Elba, so there's a lot to like there. What was I going to say? Oh, so I am excited about the return of Captain Boomerang, but folks watching the trailer, a lot of them are like, Captain Boomerang doesn't seem like he's going to be around for much of it. And I will be disappointed if that's the case, because I thought he was a hoot in the first Suicide Squad film, and I'd hate to have to say goodbye to him.
The one thing that Gunn could do that would impress me that nobody would really see coming? Kill all of them.
Like every single one?
Every single one, right down to Flag and Harley.
Wow.
I know that's not going to happen, but boy, I'd really respect the fortitude it took to take a swing at that.
Yeah.
To even have it happen.
Well, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if that happens to most of them. I think that is very possible, because even the tagline is "Don't get attached." So.
No, all or nothing.
Oh,
like even if Harley is the last one standing at the end, I'll be like, man, just one more is all you needed to do. And I'm not saying I want Harley dead or anything. I'm just saying, imagine the reaction if that was the case.
Yeah. No, that is valid. But I do think that, it seems like there are two teams based on the trailer. There's Team 1 and there's Team 2, and Team 1 seems like they are all going to die at the beginning except for Flag. And then there's Team 2, which is the rest of the movie. But it looks like Boomerang's in Team 1. Because Team 1 is him, it's Pete Davidson, it's the orange woman whose name I forget. Nathan Fillion is in that first team. Because like you get like two lineup clips in the trailer, and one is of that first team, and it's like it's almost like Armageddon. They're like walking down like a runway, and then the second one is of the rest of the team, and that's when they're in the rain, and like that's how it's kind of obvious. It's like, oh, that's the first, and then this is the second.
You know what? I retract my previous statement about being hesitant to pay $10 or $12 to see this, because if I get to see Pete Davidson die on a screen, that would be worth it.
Can I tell you something? This is only going to be funny to you and Guy and maybe Tim, is when they show Weasel licking the glass, all I think of is Tim Rooney. I feel like, and the part of Weasel will be played by Timothy Rooney. Because wasn't there something in one of the early Rewind episodes where you guys were talking about him licking the glass on the bus or something?
Oh yeah, window lickers is that's a thing.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, every time they show that shot of Weasel licking the glass, I'm like, oh yay, Tim. So anyway, give the Green Band trailer a shot, or when you in all your free time. I did like it better. Oh, and then Starro. We have to mention Starro. The big kaiju Starro is in both trailers. That's pretty rad. I think that's cool too.
I like the idea of Starro in a movie, but this movie and I don't know. I didn't feel a really strong Starro vibe from it. I mean, I know that's who it is that they're showing me, but I feel Starro is like a really super highly menacing thing, and Starro damn near felt like the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man in this trailer to me.
Well, yeah, that's pretty accurate.
So I don't know.
You say that like that's a bad thing.
I just don't have a really good vibe coming from this trailer. And again, I hope I watch the movie and I hope I enjoy it, and I was just dead ass wrong about that, but I'm not holding my breath.
Yeah. And that's fair. Like you said, not everything is made for you. That includes this. That's okay. But for the people who are psyched, great, be psyched. And again, I hope it's a win for DC Films. All right, well, that's the Suicide Squad coming in August, so it'll be here before we know it. But there you go. That's a lot of news all at once, but a lot has happened. So much. But we, of course, have to check in with you guys. The Wayne Manor mailbox is just filled to the brim. I can't even promise we'll get through it all tonight, but we're going to try. So, yeah, let's do it. Let's check in with you, fine feathered finks, as we crack open the Wayne Manor mailbox. It's time again for the Wayne Manor mailbox.
You've got mail.
Derek. What is a letter for me?
Maybe temporary.
She wrote a letter.
You're one hell of a messenger. This is all, Master Wayne.
All right, now some of these are going to be Justice League. Some of them might even be before Justice League. So we'll just have to wait and see. This one here comes from Devin Stanley. It says, hey guys, I've been playing my Sega Genesis lately, and I found a way to, found in quotes, a way to get some extra games on there. So naturally, I loaded up a few classic Batman beat-em-ups. I thought you'd be proud of me, and I was just wondering if you've ever dabbled in the Batman games of your youth. The Sega Genesis is actually older than me. Thanks for the great show, Devin. So first, Devin, screw you. That's older than you, you child. I'm just saying that. I say it with love. Just kidding. But the answer is absolutely yes. I've talked about my brother-in-law Ray on this. I've had him on this show, and I've talked about it on other shows too. He is like kind of my video game guru, and he got me a Raspberry Pi. Jamie, are you familiar with a Raspberry Pi?
Like an actual Raspberry Pi?
No, it's like a little tiny black box that you can put a bunch of emulators on and basically just play like hundreds of games from your youth?
No, that's not something I was familiar with. My son has a thing that looks like an old Atari 2600 joystick that like plugs into the USB port of the TV that has that sort of thing. So it must be something relatively similar. But
yeah. Well, the Raspberry Pi, like it's old Nintendo games, old Atari games, old Sega Genesis games, old Super Nintendo games, and of course, when I had him set it up for me, I had him put every Batman game ever made on there, and so I've had a ton of fun revisiting those. I love the Batman Returns game for the Super Nintendo. That one is awesome because it's essentially Final Fight, but just with Batman. I also love the Adventures of Batman and Robin for Sega Genesis, but it is hard, but it's so good. The Batman the Animated Series game for the Super Nintendo was also a really awesome one. And then, the Batman 89 game for both the Genesis and for the Nintendo was really good too. So, I've definitely gone back and played a lot of those, and they're fun little nostalgia trips. Jamie, did you ever play any of those older games?
The only Batman video game that I can recall ever playing was the one, I believe it might have been Genesis, but I want to say it was Nintendo, was the Batman 89 one. And I remember cussing and screaming and cursing and all kinds of stuff playing that game because it wasn't easy, especially when you got to Joker.
Yeah.
I by scale, a 24-foot tall Joker that's casting down lightning bolts like he was Thor at me, it doesn't please me when I'm playing.
That checks out. That's how it happens.
But I spent a lot of hours doing it, so I must have got some enjoyment out of it anyway.
There was, I want to say it was the Sega Genesis as well, or maybe it was Sega Genesis and Super Nintendo, the Batman Forever game. Famously, at the end, like the Riddler, like takes steroids and like grows into this giant muscle Riddler that you fight.
So he's like the Bane Riddler.
Yeah, he's like Bane Riddler. So yeah, all kinds of crazy stuff like that. Do you know what game Ray found for me though? Is that there was a Batman 89 arcade game. And it was awesome. Yes, it is awesome. I played that one a lot.
I do know that there's a Batmobile game that just came out within the last, 5, 6, 7 years.
Oh, that one was great too. Yeah, that one was really good.
We, the family and I, we'd go up to Frankenmuth at least once a year and spend a couple days and, eat our body weight in chicken and all that. But there's a video game arcade that's over in the little mall area on the one end of town. And they have that Batmobile game in there. So every time we go in there, my son and I always think about playing it. And then I'm like, no, because if I put like 4 quarters into this thing, I'm going to wind up putting a paycheck into it. So I never get started because I know how compulsive I am.
Oh, God, it's so fun.
That's what I've said it before on this show and other places. It's not that I don't like video games. I love them. It's my compulsive personality that keeps me up until 4 a.m. on a Tuesday night playing video games is why I don't play video games anymore.
That's fair.
Mortal Kombat 2, I was one of the best arcade version Mortal Kombat 2 players you will ever see in your life. But it's because every single day after I would leave work, I would go play that game and I would spend $30, $40, $50 playing that game. That's why I got so good at it.
Wow. All right, move forward. The next one is from Boomer S. It says, hey guys, it's been a while. Boom here, and I'm super excited for the Snyder Cut. So this is a little while ago. It says, couple questions. First of all, we miss Jamie. I hope he's good, and I hope he returns soon. Well, wish granted, Boomer. It says, second, we also love Brendan. we hope he stays as a regular. You three are the trinity that the people have always needed. Diana, Clark, and Bruce, who? But down to the meat. First question, who is your guys' favorite character from the Justice League movie? I love Barry. I think Ezra was the perfect blend of humor and making us relate to him as mere mortals. Just watching his confidence grow throughout the movie was amazing. From the just saved one scene, this is before the Snyder Cut, to where he's just running through parademons by the final battle to the race with Superman. Second question, if Matt Reeves as the Batman ends up going down the road of including the Joker, who would you like to see play the role? I know we've been saturated with Jokers in the past decade, but I think that Ewan Rion from Game of Thrones would make an amazing Joker to go against Robert Pattinson. He's got the chops and the sadistic experience as a Bolton to pull it off perfectly. Also, if you've never seen Mr. Mercedes, Brady Hartsfield is the main villain is exactly what I would expect a real-life Joker to be. Maybe not the actor, but the character as he was written, similar to the villain character in the book Crimson Reign by Victor Dean. I just want to get your thoughts. Always a pleasure tuning into the show, and as always, I'm going to tell all my friends about you. Take care, fellas. All right, thank you, Boomer. So question, favorite, it seems like this was pre-Snyder Cut, so he's going by the theatrical. So favorite member of the Justice League in the film, and then do you have a wish list for who might play the Joker in the Batman, Jamie?
I mean, theatrical cut, I guess Batman.
All
If
right.
I'm going Snyder cut, I mean, as weird as this sounds to say out loud, I can't believe it's actually about to come out of my mouth, but I think Desaad.
Okay.
And it's only because that's the one character that I can't get over how cool that communication method was and how great he looks. And he really felt like Desaad, giving Darkseid that subtle lip just enough to get under Darkseid's skin, but not enough to get him twisted around or omega beamed, It just, that feels like Desaad to me. So I really appreciated how he was done. And, Darkseid was great, and Steppenwolf was really good in this version, and of course all the heroes had great moments, so it's hard to pick a favorite, but just because he's the one that keeps rattling around in my brain, a week or two later, I'm going to say Desaad.
Okay.
To address the Mr. Mercedes thing, I've seen the first 2 seasons and it's fantastic, but man, it is wholly unsettling. I get where he's coming from with Brady, being what a Joker might be in real life. I mean, he's not wrong. But man, that show really gets under your skin, and it's rough, but it's really good. And who do I want to see play Joker? The simple answer to that is nobody. I'm done with Joker for the time being.
Okay. I mean, I think my favorite is also the Flash in Justice League, especially in Zack Snyder's Justice League, because of that amazing scene at the end. That I think was. I loved him in the theatrical cut, and I loved him even more in this cut. I love Batman, I love Wonder Woman, but I think because the Flash was one of the new characters in Justice League, I think that's why I would call him my favorite. And then as for who would play the Joker, I don't really know. I haven't thought about it in a while, just because, as Jamie said, we've had quite a few Jokers recently, so I haven't even thought of who might step up and be the new one.
The actor he suggested, really, honestly, if I had to have a Joker, is not a bad choice. He was in a TV series, I want to say it was called like Misfits or something like that. It was a UK TV series about, I guess you could call them superheroes, superpowered beings, whatever. Mm-hmm. And that show was really good. And obviously Ramsey Bolton, that guy's a bastard and a half.
Yeah, he's good at being a bastard. So, yeah, I mean, I'd have to think about it, so I don't have anything right now, but I'd be down with that choice too. All right, next message is from Isaiah Perry. It says, "Hey guys, in a recent episode, someone asked if Batman would die as a sacrifice in Justice League. So, if he did, do you think narrow-minded Marvel fans would claim it was ripping off Iron Man's sacrifice, as the two are already compared to an extreme? Would it deepen the rivalry that is shared between the two companies, or would there be too little people who cared about it? Keep on keeping on, Isaiah." Thanks, Isaiah. What do you think? Now we know that Ben Affleck's Batman does not sacrifice himself in Zack Snyder's Justice League, but if he were, would people say, "Oh, they're ripping off Marvel again"?
I don't know. I don't really care. I think this rivalry is pretty close to as manufactured as any has ever been. I take some jabs here and there, but again, I still like more of the Marvel stuff than I don't. I lean DC. It's just my personal preference. And I think everybody has their personal preferences like that. But to prove my point about manufactured, I read some of the critic reviews about Zack Snyder's Justice League because I looked on IMDb because the user rating was extremely high, and it's still maintaining a really high level too. But the Metacritic score there was significantly lower than what the fan rating score was. And I'm like, all right, I want to see what some of the gripes that the pros have to throw at it. And 3 out of the 4 I read made direct Marvel comparisons, or they should have done it more like this. And I was like, nope, I'm done. These people see that we're interested in that aspect of it, and they just keep feeding that fire, and I frankly just have no energy or interest in keeping down that road. So would people have made that comparison? Maybe. But I mean, to play devil's advocate, I mean, should we make the comparison that Iron Man stole it from Darth Vader at the end of Return of the Jedi? No, because it's not the same thing, and it's not an original idea. There have been heroes that have sacrificed themselves going way back to, I'm sure, the 20s and 30s in movies. So I don't have any interest in that rivalry going forward, honestly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure there are some people who would claim it. I mean, we're even, we saw a little bit of that with Darkseid and Thanos of, it's just like Thanos, or but whatever. And, you're always going to get a little bit of that. But I do think that that's mostly the minority. I think most people will, see it for what it is. If that, at this point, I don't even think we'll end up seeing it. But if we were, sure, there'd be a small amount. But I think most people would be able to take it on its own terms. And yeah, it's best to just not feed that rivalry, if at all possible.
I mean, if I want to be petty, I'd remind everybody that with the exception of Aquaman, DC did it first. True. And even in the case of Aquaman, Namor sucks. So I'd say Aquaman is a vast improvement over him. So.
Okay.
That's petty, though. Don't follow that example, people. That's petty. Don't listen to that. Just disregard that statement.
Okay, next message is from Chris, the Objective Geek. It says, hey, guys, because it's fun, let's talk Marvel versus DC. This is actually kind of a fun one, though. I'll give him credit. He goes, my question is, in the spirit of being objective, what is something great about your least favorite MCU film, and what is something terrible about your favorite DC film? For me, Loki finding out his mother died and her funeral was the best thing in the very terrible Thor: The Dark World. Side note, when I saw all the positive reviews for that film, that's when I knew that the MCU was unbeatable. And in The Dark Knight, the chemistry between Bale and Maggie Gyllenhaal was pretty non-existent. Hope all is well. Keep up the great work. See, it's kind of a fun question. So, you're like something really good about your least favorite MCU film, Jamie.
My least favorite is Guardians of the Galaxy 2, and I couldn't name one thing positive to say about that movie. Not one. Not a single freaking one.
I don't even know what my least favorite MCU film is. I haven't ranked them since there was more than 10. Like, it's just too many, But because he mentioned Thor: The Dark World, that one does spring to mind as one of the lesser ones. And what I do remember is yes, like really loving Frigga, Rene Russo's character in that one. Frigga. Sorry. Frigga. So yeah, I don't really like that movie. I haven't revisited it, I think, since the theater. But I remember thinking, oh, she finally got some chances to shine in that movie. And I really liked how they revisited it in Endgame. So I'm kind of right along there with you, Chris, is for a movie that's very meh, like that I think is a really good part of it.
So I'm one of those people that is in the rare minority of, I really like Thor: The Dark World. It's actually my favorite of the 3 Thor movies. Popular opinion as that may be.
Okay.
And Endgame is not my least favorite Marvel film. There's probably 5 or 6 that I like less than Endgame, but I did not like Endgame. But the fact that Endgame went out of its way to make Thor: The Dark World such a valid piece of the Marvel Cinematic Universe by having Thor revisit her and bringing that moment back around, I appreciated that. So I'm going to put that in as my answer, even though I know it's not my least favorite film by far.
Yeah. And then something terrible in your favorite DC movie.
Well, my favorite DC movie is The Dark Knight, and something terrible in that. I'd really have to think about it because I can't think of anything I think is terrible in that movie. I can't even think of anything in that movie that I would change to make it better, other than giving me another 45 minutes of it.
You're not playing well with this question, Jamie.
I know. God, don't ask me questions I'm not prepared for in that fashion.
Well, my favorite, I mean, I don't think it's the best DC movie, but my favorite DC movie is Batman 89 for obvious reasons. And I defend a lot about that movie, but yeah, there was no reason for Jack Napier to have killed the Waynes. I would say that's a very easy change to get rid of that. Just make it an anonymous shooter, make it Joe Chill, because I don't think it really adds anything to the movie. So as much as I love that movie, I can't really... I mean, I understand the rationale of why they made the choice, but as a fan, you don't need to make that choice. That's something I don't really like about that movie.
Okay, again, I'm going to kind of play around with the rules a little bit. It's not my favorite DC movie, but my favorite DCEU movie, Zack Snyder's Justice League, newly crowned. The whole Darkseid didn't know the anti-life equation was on Earth, let alone even remember that he'd been to Earth before. Like, that whole thing just seems like it could have been handled a lot better.
I think we have an email about that somewhere buried in this mailbox. So I will say this. I understand the note, but they do address it. Diana says, and forgive me if I get the line kind of wrong, but Diana says, the mother boxes went to sleep and the world was lost amongst a trillion worlds, anonymous amongst a trillion worlds.
And I get that.
So they do acknowledge it. They do acknowledge it. I mean, you have to assume that they were invading thousands of worlds. So,
well, okay. My wife was actually watching that part of the movie the second time I was watching it. So I'd already been through it and, kind of run through my mind, and several scenarios came up. But my wife asked me, why wouldn't he remember this? And I explained to her, he was conquering so many worlds that this was probably just like a random one, that it's just slipped his mind. And she gave me the Superman side eye when I said it. Like, she just, did not feel that was a sufficient response.
I know. It's a lot of people have pointed it out.
It's beautiful. We're talking about.
I know. A lot of people pointed out. I get it. I'm just saying that the movie does acknowledge it. It's not like the movie doesn't pretend that's not the case. That otherwise Diana wouldn't say the world was lost, anonymous amongst thousands of worlds.
And that's fine. It's like the Martha thing. I recognize what they did. I just think they could have done it better.
That's fair. All right, let's move forward. Next message is from Brandon. It says, hey guys, I'm a big fan of the show. I started listening during quarantine. It was a lot of fun to listen to you talk about DC films, TV, and most importantly, Batman. Question for you, will Zack Snyder's Justice League get a Blu-ray release? If so, when? I don't have HBO Max, so I was wondering if I should wait for the Blu-ray. Thanks, Brandon. Brandon, yes, I believe it is coming out on Blu-ray in May. I am happy to purchase it when it comes out, but in the meantime, I keep watching it on HBO Max. So if you can be patient, yes, it will be available on Blu-ray.
And that'll be the first Blu-ray I bought since Shazam.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right, next message is from Noah Smucker. It says, hey guys, hello there, you superstitious and cowardly lot of Bat fans. Since you seem to be getting a few Marvel and DC questions lately, I thought I would throw one in. If we lived in a fantasy world where Disney and Warner Brothers shared their toys, what two characters from Marvel and DC would you like to star in a live-action team-up? And who would be the villain? But no teams like JLA or Avengers. See you around. Noah. No, that's actually a fun question. I like that question. Okay, Jamie, you get to have a team-up movie with someone from Marvel and someone from DC.
I mean, I could do several.
Oh, God, yeah.
Thor and Wonder Woman.
Easily.
Batman and Iron Man. Superman and Hulk. Or Superman and Captain America, for that matter. I mean, there's all kinds of them I'd really enjoy seeing. Like, some of those old books that they used to do when they would, every decade or so when they decide, hey, let's mix up these comics a little bit and get Marvel and DC together, whether it be, amalgam or even just a random team up like Batman versus the Hulk or something like that. That sort of thing always intrigued me, and I was interested. I didn't read all of it, but I would love to see something like that. But man, that just, unless Disney acquires Warner Brothers, I don't ever see it happening. But
yeah.
that doesn't mean it wouldn't be fun to see. Like, I don't like the Tony Stark character in particular. I think he's too snarky and too over the top with some of his stuff. But seeing he and Batman be those stark contrasts to each other, Stark. That was totally unintentional.
I know, it happens.
Contrast to each other, and both being billionaire geniuses and having the tech and all that stuff. That would be something I would love to see.
Yeah. And then we could prove once and for all that Batman is smarter.
Well, I mean, that goes without saying.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean it wouldn't be cool to see just the same.
I mean, there's 100 combinations I could go with. So like I said, it's a fun question, but I would just go with my favorite from both. So it would be Batman and Gambit.
That would be an interesting mix.
Yeah, I could see it working.
Seeing Batman creep around the streets in New Orleans in the middle of the night, man, damn, now I want to see it.
That's right. Batman goes to the Big Easy and runs into Gambit. Hells yeah. So that means Killer Croc would have to be the villain. Because Croc's in the swamp?
Well, technically it's alligators, not crocs. You know.
Close enough. I feel like there was a version of Killer Croc that had a Cajun accent. I can't remember. I can't remember where it was, but I swear to God, I remember there being a version of him. Oh well. Anyway, so that would be my first choice. I guess the other thing I thought of is like Superman and Spider-Man. You know, you could definitely see Superman be sort of a paternal figure to Spider-Man, and they both live in, Metropolis, New York City, very much similar. You could definitely see them going through the skyscrapers of one or the other together. I think that could work too. And they go up against Lex Luthor and Kingpin.
Spider-Man riding on Superman's shoulders as he flies between
See,
buildings.
that'd be cool.
No, there's just all kinds of fun stuff you could do with that, and it's kind of sad to think that it's just not possible to ever happen without Disney acquiring everything,
Yeah. Well, so I'm sure you saw this. Our pal Julian Chan, for our 300th episode, he created a couple movie posters, and he created one for each of us. And the one he created for me was a Gambit Blue Devil movie, and I would pay for it twice. I like, sign me up for that. That looks like fun as hell. All right. Next message from Eric Carter. It says, hey guys, I saw that Batman The Adventures Continue is getting a second season, and it will revolve around the Court of Owls. I love Batman the Animated Series, and the Court of Owls is my favorite Batman story. So needless to say, I'm excited. What are your thoughts? Thanks as always for your wonderful contributions to the Batman community. You guys are a true inspiration to me, and I love seeing that BatCast logo pop up in my podcast feed. Keep the bat signal lit and pointed skyward. Your Bat brother, Eric Carter. Thank you, Eric. That's very sweet. So what do you think? Batman The Adventures Continue takes on the Court of Owls.
I am subscribed to that series. I have not... I shouldn't even say this out loud on the show. I am so far behind on my books. I have like a 9-inch stack of comics sitting on my reading table, and I just haven't been in the mood to read, and just time and everything else. Well, let's put it this way. The most recent book I need to get in on, or not the most recent, but the Batman number 100 is right there at the top of the stack. What are they on now? Like Batman 106, 108, something like that?
Yeah.
So I'm way behind. But I do have those books. I've read the first 1 or 2 issues of it, and I liked it. The aesthetic feels right. And I'd certainly be intrigued what they do with the Court of Owls. But, yeah, I'm good with it.
All right. Yeah, I mean, I really liked the run thus far, and yeah, it makes sense that they would do their version of Court of Owls, and I'm here for it. So yeah, I think it'll be fun. I enjoyed it. What I like about it is when I read it digitally, they come out. They're nice, quick reads. It's like a quick 5-minute read before bed because they cut each one into multiple chapters, and so yeah, I think that's fun. All right, next message is from Mark Jurasevic. It says, "Hey, Batcasters, I enjoyed your review of the Superman and Lois pilot. I agree the show has very high production values, which is fitting for Superman. Of course, it wouldn't mean much without exploring the human element, which it does so well. I don't really take too much interest in budgets, but listening to a current podcast discovered this. Apparently, Superman and Lois is $6 million per episode, while the other CW shows are about $2 million. Apparently, the upcoming HBO Green Lantern Corps series will cost $100 million for 10 episodes, so that show should look fantastic. Falcon and the Winter Soldier has a budget of $150 million for 6 episodes, so it's any wonder that the trailers look like a MCU movie. Apparently, the show has Captain America Winter Soldier vibes, which is a good thing. Anyway, production values are not the main reason a show is great, but I hope that Superman and Lois keeps the shorter 16-episode season, which will keep the quality up and not fall into the trap of long seasons with filler episodes and lower production values. On another note, if I recall correctly, Lois was pregnant at the end of Season 4 of Supergirl, and then they both left off-world. The following season was Crisis on Infinite Earths, which they only had one child, and it was a baby. At the end of Crisis, Clark receives a call about the twins, and he's surprised by it. I think the sudden age increase and having twins is a result of Crisis. In any case, none of the events in the series is referenced, and that's a good thing. I also like that the series, at least for now, is a separate entity and allowed to find its own footing and develop its own characters. That's it. Take care and keep podcasting. Regards, Mark." Thank you, Mark. Yeah, very interesting to hear about the budgets. And I'll tell you what, Jamie, we talked about this recently with Zack Snyder's Justice League, and I asked the question of, how much is it worth to spend on, if HBO Max wanted more Zack Snyder's Justice League, how much is worth it to spend? And you were like, well, how much does Game of Thrones cost? And I did kind of fall down a little bit of the rabbit hole on some of this budget stuff as well. But allegedly, WandaVision, which I just finished, I did enjoy, by the way, that cost $200 million for WandaVision.
And that was only, 6 or 8 episodes?
It was 9 episodes. Yeah. So, I mean, when you're talking that budget level for 9 episodes of WandaVision, I don't know, could Zack Snyder do a $200 million Justice League movie? Probably. So, I don't know. Once I started digging into that, I'm like, it does seem more feasible. Again, that still assumes all the other things happen, that everybody wants to do it and they're willing to pay it and they actually want to do it, which who knows? Everybody has an opinion on it. Everybody is positive that their opinion is right. None of the opinions match, so take that as you will. When I mentioned that on that previous episode, I got messages going, here's why it makes perfect sense for them to do it. And then I got messages of, here's why it makes no sense for them to do it. So, opinions vary. Point is, yeah, interesting to hear some of these budget numbers, and I've really been enjoying Superman and Lois, I guess is the bottom line. Have you watched it at all, Jamie?
I have not.
It's pretty good. I like it.
I'm glad it's good, and I'm glad people seem to really be enjoying it. I haven't really heard anybody levy any real complaints against it that seem more like anything but a nitpick. Just to address one thing that he said there, keep it at 16 episodes and, not have filler or lower quality episodes. Preaching to the choir there, I've been saying that for all television for years. Some of the best shows running on TV right now are 10 to 13 episode seasons.
Yeah.
Quality beats quantity every single stinking time. And, I don't know how the budgets and numbers and everything work out, but, give me more series at 10 to 13 episodes versus, 22 to 26 episodes of one series that you run out of ideas and you're stretching out storylines and things just kind of falter and waver and what have you. And again, as I said earlier in the episode, Netflix paid $450 million for the Knives Out sequels. I don't know how many, unless there's like 10 sequels in that thing, which I don't know how many there are. There's money in streaming these movies. Again, they offered Warner Brothers $200 million to debut Godzilla vs. Kong, and Warner Brothers turned them down. There's a reason that offer was made. There's a reason that offer was declined. There's money in these streaming services with these movies. So, yes, I think they can maintain. Mm-hmm. And as far as Zack Snyder being able to maintain a budget to do it, my simple solution to that would be do it Peter Jackson style. Let him do Justice League 2 and 3 back to back, and it keeps the production cost a little bit down. So maybe it costs $350 to do both of those back to back, but it's still less than $200 if you average the two out.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just, rolling stuff around in my head. I don't know what anything would shake out to, but if I know if you let them do it back to back, as far as like contracts for your actors and sets and everything else would be, the cost is lowered by doing it that way. So,
yeah. There are certainly reasons to do it, and there are reasons not to do it. Right now, they say they don't want to do it. That could change, as we've said. Never say never. But yeah,
Warner Brothers may not want to, but I promise you right now, HBO Max probably does.
Well, depends on how much those people want to cooperate or not. So,
I would say the biggest hang up at this point is getting the cast and everybody back in.
Yeah.
Especially Ben.
Right.
Or Ray Fisher at this point. But, if Ray's working with Zack, I don't imagine he'd have an issue either. So.
Yep. Like I said, I got adamant messages of why it absolutely will happen and should happen and why every penny is worth it. And I got just as many messages that said it absolutely will not happen, should not happen, and here's why. So, the actual truth is in the middle. There's arguments to be made for both.
Fair enough.
All right. Next message is it's Chris, the Objective Geek again, and he goes, "Hey guys, this is more of a statement than a question. Like many of you, I'm sad to see Henry Cavill leave the role of Superman, but I am excited about the prospect of a black Superman. But I hope it's not Clark, especially if the Kents are white, because then it will come off like a white savior thing. I'm hoping for Calvin Harris because he is also the U.S. president, which adds a new interesting dynamic, and I selfishly hope it's Val Zod because I own the comic issue of his first appearance. Besides, with Superman, it will be, I'm very excited with Ta-Nehisi Coates' writing. I've read some of his works and attended one of his seminars, and he's a very intelligent and thoughtful writer. I think with his mindset, we could get one of the most thought-provoking superhero films ever that reaffirms the meaning of wearing the S, not only within the movie, but in real life. The S isn't just a metaphor of being indestructible, but a symbol of hope. The type of hope that can inspire so many black boys and girls and other minorities to realize that the sky's the limit. Reminds me of the Jor-El quote in Man of Steel. What if a child dreams of becoming something other than what society had intended? What if a child aspires to something greater? Sorry for the essay. Keep up the great work. Chris. Thanks, Chris. So yeah, this goes back to a couple episodes ago. We talked about the possibility of what that new Superman movie could be. Is it going to be a black Superman? Is it going to be Calvin Harris? Is it going to be Val Zod? Is it just going to be Clark Kent? None of us know any of that, and so Chris is making the case for you want Calvin Harris or you want Val Zod. Fair enough. Jamie, you weren't on that episode, so I'd be interested to hear your thoughts.
The first thing I will address is it was brought up there that I was not a fan of Ta-Nehisi. I don't even know if I'm saying his name right. Ta-Nehisi Coates. I'm just going to say Coates. That's not exactly true. I didn't care for his run on Black Panther, but that was more for the choices that were made of doing Black Panther in space. That just, it didn't sit well with me. And I haven't read his previous Black Panther run, and I kind of tapped out 6-7 issues into that in space thing because I was just done with it. But he wrote Captain America for a little while, and I enjoyed that. I thought he did a really good job with that. I think he's a outstanding writer, and I think, yes, he can bring something special and unique to whatever he does with this Superman film. As far as doing, is it Calvin Harris and Val Zod, whatever. I simply just don't have the interest because I don't know them.
Yeah.
And, to me, Superman is Clark, and it's kind of like the whole Batman Beyond. Batman's just not interesting to me when it's not Bruce. Mm-hmm. I still maintain keep him Clark Kent, and it never even registered in my mind that the Ma and Pa Kent would be white with a black son. I just assume make them all black. What's the problem doing that? I mean, that's how I always had it in my head to begin with. And the other thing I guess I want to say is I'm not going to point any fingers or say anything in an accusatory fashion, but until I hear Ta-Nehisi Coates say yes, I'm going to make Superman black, I think it's kind of weird that we're just all assuming that that's what he's going to do. Because, again, he wrote Captain America, and he didn't make Captain America black. The guy's capable of writing for many things, and it's not all just going to be automatically black because he's a black writer that does a lot for, you know, that angle. I think it's kind of borderline ridiculous that we're all just assuming that he's going to automatically make a black Superman. And if he does, great. And if he doesn't, I don't know why any of us should be surprised about it, because he's not restricted to only writing in that realm. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. That's true. And that's just it, is we don't know. He could just be writing a Clark Kent Superman story. He could be writing a sequel for Henry Cavill, for all we know, because we don't know. All we know is he is writing a new Superman movie, and the rest is all speculation.
Mm-hmm. But no, I think he's an excellent writer, and I've enjoyed. I haven't read a lot of his stuff. I read his Captain America run, and I read his Black Panther in Space run, and I didn't care for the Black Panther in Space, and it's not because it wasn't a good story or quality writing. It's just Black Panther in Space doesn't interest me. So I just wanted to clear that part up.
All right, cool. Awesome. Moving forward, it's our pal Tom Fallows. It says, "Hey guys, I hope you enjoyed the lead up to Zack Snyder's Justice League. My question is, in terms of Batman villains, which character do you think is overrated? For me, it's always been Black Mask. He always seemed like a knockoff of the Red Skull, despite his backstory being quite interesting. And also, who is your underrated choice? I always felt the Mad Hatter gets dismissed a lot, despite the idea of him being quite creepy. Thanks again, Tom Fallows." Thanks, Tom. That's kind of a fun question. So, Batman villains, Jamie, ones that you think are overrated and underrated.
I feel like I've addressed it before, but Joker is kind of overrated, and it's not because I don't recognize that he's iconic and he's Batman's number one with a bullet. It's just everything always comes back to him, and I just feel like Batman's world is expansive enough that it doesn't have to. Mm-hmm. Movies, comics, or otherwise. As far as underrated, I've said this a few times in the past. I really feel like Bane is underrated, and it's not because people don't use him or anything like that. It's like I feel like Bane is misunderstood in that he's seen as this blunt force instrument, which he is, but he's also very strategic and intelligent and uses his brain every bit as much as he uses his muscle. And I think more writers should come around to that particular notion and do him more justice in that respect.
All right. Well, so first, I guess I'll say, Tom, I actually kind of agree with your choices. Black Mask is one that I've just never been all that into. A lot of people love him, and that's great. He's never done much for me. And I've always appreciated Mad Hatter, too. I think Mad Hatter deserves a little more love. I think he's a lot cooler than he gets credit for. But as far as my choices, what's funny is for overrated, my mind went to Bane. I think Bane's a little bit overrated. I like Bane. I do. I think he's cool and he's scary and he's intimidating. And yes, Jamie, he's certainly a strategist. He uses his brain and his brawn. I just feel like, for me, I just don't put him quite on the level of all the rest of the Rogues Gallery. And I think he's like a big, strong B+, but I just never quite put him on the A list. So, but I think I'm in the minority. I think a lot of other people do. So yeah, I think maybe he's a little overrated, just in my opinion. And then underrated. I mean, I'm trying to think of someone who's underrated that you haven't heard me talk about 100 times, because I feel like, my favorites of like the Riddler and Scarecrow, I love them both a lot, and I think that there's so much more you can do with them, and I think they often don't get taken super seriously. And that was what bugged me so much about the Hush animated movie, is that for some reason it felt the need to make the Riddler like the butt of the joke, which I'm like, what? Why do you need to do that? What's the point of that? So, yeah, I feel like, I know y'all know I love the Riddler, but I feel like, and sometimes he's the Rodney Dangerfield of the Batman Rogues Gallery. He don't get no respect. So, it's an obvious answer, but I do think that he is often underrated.
I had an image of Riddler straightening out his bow tie when you said that.
That's what it should be. All right, this is from Mark Bickford. It says, hey guys, really I want to say thank you for your good cheer and positive outlook. You're an island of joy in the morass that too much of DC fandom has become. It sucks that we have to go looking for islands of joy in what is, after all, a comics fandom, but that's what the world has come to. Thank you for everything you do. I know you have a ton of show ideas in your backlog, but I'd love to hear one that covers the Justice League 2 and 3 story from the storyboards in Dallas. We know it's not the final story, Zack has said that, but it's still a pretty awesome story, and I'd love to hear you discuss it. It says right now it's Tuesday, so I'm going to ask what you're looking forward to most, and if there's anything you're dreading about Zack Snyder's Justice League. For me, while I'm excited about the project, what I'm most looking forward to is seeing what the setup was going to be going forward, since Zack has said that they got rid of the Wayne Lane angle that played a big role in those storyboards. I'm most dreading the idea that Steppenwolf's mother's soul might actually be trapped in the mother boxes. That sounded awful to me when I heard it years ago, and I'm not looking forward to it now. Have a great week. Enjoy the movie. Mark. Thanks, Mark. So it's fun to get that message in hindsight, I guess. I don't think I ever heard about Steppenwolf's mother's soul being trapped in the mother boxes.
That's a new one to me.
Yeah, it's new to me too. Yeah, I mean, like covering the stories for Justice League 2 and 3, that could be fun if we need a show idea. So thanks for that. I mean, we've already seen the movie, but I guess if you can put yourself, Jamie, in your own shoes a couple weeks ago before we see the movie, what were you most looking forward to and what were you dreading?
What I was most looking forward to is seeing what was originally intended from Zack's vision from this film. And what I most dreaded was the toxic reaction from the plus and the minus side of it. I fully expected it to be an all-out war, just like it was for Man of Steel and BVS and everything else. And honestly, I'm really surprised by what I've seen, and that most of the people that have anything bad to say about it really aren't. There have been a couple.
Sure.
And I don't think they're being utterly unreasonable, but I do think they're looking for things not to like about it in their complaints. And at least in the couple of people that I've encountered in some of the groups that I'm in on Facebook. And honestly, I expected way worse than that. But I think the feedback has been overwhelmingly positive, at least compared to what I expected it to be. So I'm pleased to say that my fear was not realized with that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, that's a great point. Yeah, I mean, what I was looking forward to was just more, was just seeing more of everything and getting a consistent film. So it wasn't a specific scene or character or plot point that I was looking forward to. I was just looking forward to finally getting a movie that feels like a complete real movie and not the Frankenstein movie that we ended up getting. So I was just looking forward to that, and it did not disappoint as far as that goes. What I was dreading, I don't know about dreading. Dreading is a strong word, but I was not looking forward to if there was going to be any particularly controversial choices that were made in the movie, like were made in BVS or Man of Steel, those sticking points that fans have now been fighting about for 5 years, 7 years. How long was Man of Steel? No, 8 years? Man of Steel, 8 years?
8 years.
Oh my
and
God.
Like 2 months.
But like some of those moments in those movies that people are still fighting about, I was afraid of what might happen in Justice League that might become that. And for the most part, that hasn't happened. There's a little bit here and there, but for the most part, nothing I think as dramatic as BVS and Man of Steel, so that was good. But I think that was what I was dreading, is like, oh no, they're going to do something where, something unexpected and something that's going to piss off some fans, and then it's going to become a fight and that kind of thing. And fortunately, that didn't really happen, which is good. Just, like I said, little bits. And Mark, thank you for your kind words about the show. I appreciate it. I'm glad you consider us an island of joy. I hope that's what it is. We hope the show is fun. It's supposed to be fun, celebrating DC. So thank you for that. It does mean a lot. All right, next message is from Cam Stewart. It says, hey guys, I want to know if you've had a chance to watch the fan-made Batman movie on YouTube, Batman Dying is Easy. If so, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Personally, I liked it. The Joker was a bit much, but their version of Batman I liked a lot. Thanks, Cam. I haven't watched it yet. I'm so sorry. I thought I even considered lying and saying I watched it and I loved it because I didn't want to be a slacker, but I am a slacker and I should own it. I haven't watched it. I want to watch it. The photos look great. It looks badass. I want to watch it. I just haven't yet. Jamie?
I've seen a little bit of discussion in the movie group about it, but I haven't watched it myself. But to be fair, I generally don't watch a lot of fan films either. So.
Yeah. Just insert that gif of Michael Caine as Alfred weeping, saying, I failed you. You trusted me, and I failed you. I'll watch it. I didn't have time to watch it. I was watching all the Leprechaun movies. which I wish I was lying about. But I'm not lying. I really did.
Did you take advantage of the discount bin special on iTunes for those?
No.
Because I think they had like all 8 movies for like $15.
Let me tell you. I was talking to our dear friend Hunter Fagan, and it was like a week before St. Patty's Day. Because we did the Darby O'Gill episodes. So we were talking about St. Patty's Day, and we started talking about Leprechaun, and I was like, God, I haven't seen it in so long, and I've never seen any of the sequels. And Hunter's like, the first one is still really fun. He's like, I think you'd appreciate it. And I was like, okay, let me see how much it is. And I looked, and it was like $5.99 or something pretty cheap. And I was like, okay. But it was like, or all 8 for $24.99. And I was like, or do I just go all in? Do I pay the $25 and get all 8 of these horrible movies? And Hunter's like, dude, the sequels are pretty bad. I'm like, I know, but what the hell? So I paid $25. I bought them all 8 movies, because it was like $3 a movie then, right? And then I start watching them. And then a week later, all 8 movies get knocked down to like $17. And I was like, damn you, iTunes. There should be some guarantee where if that happens, like within 2 weeks, you get the difference. Because I was like, I could have just waited. But I just hope that whatever royalty check Warwick Davis got, thanks to me, I hope he bought himself something nice. Maybe a Shamrock Shake on me. That one's on me, Warwick.
Just kind of a side note to that, the iTunes discount bin for me was on fire this week. I bought 19 movies on Tuesday.
Dude, you are not lying.
19 movies.
I blame you, because you said that in one of our chats. You're like, oh man, the $4.99 bin on iTunes is crazy. And I went and I was like, damn it, he's right. So I didn't buy 19, but I bought like 10.
That's my addiction every week.
Yep.
Every single week.
Yep. Same. Okay.
I'm buying shit I don't even really want. Like, I don't even like the movie Heat, but they're like, Heat in 4K for $4.99. I'm like, yeah, okay.
Yeah, why not?
You know how I feel about E.T. E.T. last year was in the $4.99 bin, and I bought it. I still haven't even watched it, but I bought it.
Well, you should, because it's delightful.
It's a sickness.
I have the same sickness, so you're in good company. There are worse habits to have, my friend.
All 8 Saw movies for $19.99? Yeah, I don't even like 5 of those, but sure, I'll take that.
Yep.
All 6 Mission Impossible movies for $20? I don't even like but one of those, but yeah, I'll take that.
Yep. Preach. Okay. This is from Scott Brown. It says, hey guys, any interest in doing an episode celebrating the 10th anniversary of the Green Lantern movie? What do you think of the film? If you've done an episode where you've discussed your thoughts, could you provide a rough estimate of when it came out so I could give it a listen? I've never seen it, but I heard it wasn't good. Thanks, Scott. Scott, I think we're in sync here, because we've talked about this recently. We are absolutely going to do it. We've never done it. We've never really talked about the movie in detail. It is 10 years old. Before... Oh, God, was it before Zack Snyder's Justice League? Ryan Reynolds, actually, he said he hadn't rewatched it in years, and he rewatched it on Twitter, which was kind of fun. But just know that, yes, we'll do something for the 10th anniversary, and so I'll leave it there. I'm not going to tell you anything about my thoughts on it until we do the episode.
I will say this. It was on HBO Max. I think they pulled actually today, I think was yesterday or today was the last day they had it on there. But it'll come back because things circle around. But anyway, I rewatched it for the first time in probably, I don't know, 5 or 6 years. And I maintain what I've said about it all along. And if you don't know what that is, then you'll have to wait.
Yep, something to look forward to in June. Oh my God, and I'll be back in the United States. All right. Next message. Oh, it's Mark Jurosevic again. This is about our BVS commentary. It says, I, like many others, have grown to appreciate BVS over the years, and the Ultimate Edition has very much helped. It's now one of my favorite DC movies. But I have an observation. Batman is given flack for dispatching and killing all those bad guys in the Batmobile chase, but with all that carnage ensuing, why didn't Superman intervene? Especially since he vehemently opposed his methods. He just stood in that spot waiting for Batman to get to him, and he would have seen everything that was going on. This has never occurred to me until listening to your commentary. Also, if you want to check out a great live-action Doomsday, horns and all, check out this clip from the second season of Krypton, in which he dispatches a squad of soldiers. The show is flawed in many ways, but the rendition of Lobo, Doomsday, and Brainiac were first class and very true to the comics. Anyway, take care, and as Sly always says, keep punching. Regards, Mark. All right, Mark, thank you.
That's funny he said that, because I just rewatched all the Rocky movies last week.
I've been meaning to do it because they're all on HBO Max. Mm-hmm. So I might join you in that very soon.
They're all holding up beautifully, in my opinion.
Yeah. I rewatched the first one.
One glaring exception, I should say.
Okay. I rewatched the first one, or I watched the first one recently because it was $4.99 bin. And then, yeah, I did want to go fall down the rabbit hole, but sorry, Leprechaun beckoned. But yeah, I want to do that too. Okay, so I guess we'll start with Krypton. I watched some of the first season and then I lost track of it, but I do remember seeing photos of their Doomsday and it looked really awesome. So I'll have to check out this clip.
Aesthetically speaking, I think that show did a really good job, but that thing could not maintain my interest for anything that it did. It just simply was not a show that I enjoyed at all.
Yeah, I tried, and you're right, my mind kept wandering. I just wasn't that invested. But you're right, Brainiac was cool, Doomsday looked cool, so there is
Lobo
that.
Lobo looked great.
Yeah.
I don't have any opposition to any of that. It's just the stories they were telling just weren't anything I wanted to be involved. It just didn't do it for me.
Right. And then what are your thoughts on, there's the big Batmobile chase in BVS, lots of destruction happening between Batman and Lex's goons, but Superman didn't intervene. What do you think?
I understand the angle that you're looking at it from, and I won't even necessarily say you're wrong. I just will say one thing. We don't know when Superman showed up. That might have been literally him coming in at supersonic speed and landing at that moment right there. Like hearing all of that going on from across Gotham Harbor might have been what, provoked him to come over there. I mean, that's my assumption anyway. So, I mean, you could make the argument either way. Either way, it was a dramatic entrance, and that was like the first time they were face to face in costume and whatnot. So, I think the moment as its own thing stands perfectly fine, and you could make that gripe, but you could also counter the gripe, I guess is what I'm saying.
Yeah. Yeah, I totally hear that, and I feel like I have heard it discussed. I think your point is valid, we don't know when he got there. And honestly, him getting there and stopping Batman in the Batmobile, that is him intervening. I think from his perspective, Batman is the antagonist in that case. Batman's going after these guys, and so he stops Batman. So I think he is intervening. He's stopping it. But yeah, like, could he have gotten there early, stopped it sooner? Maybe, perhaps. Yeah, we just don't know when he got there. But yeah, that's how I see it. All right, I got to say this one real quick, just because it was what we mentioned earlier. This is from Imad Alaguz. It says, "Hey guys, so Steppenwolf and Desaad knew that a planet defeated Darkseid 5,000 years ago, and it had the anti-life equation. But for some reason, they lost its coordinates. But shouldn't they automatically know that it's the same planet once they found the mother boxes? What did I miss?" So there you have it. I knew I saw.
Did they address the fact that he knew the anti-life equation was here? Because I don't think they did. That doesn't sound familiar to me. It really feels to me like the first time the anti-life equation was mentioned is when Steppenwolf has his little vision and tells Desaad about it.
No, they mention it during the history lesson scene.
They do?
Yeah, they do mention it there.
Okay.
So think about the world with the secret of anti-life. I got to watch it again, but enough people have this issue. I just got to go. Yeah, I'll say what you said earlier, Jamie. Is they kind of address it, but I guess it could have been done better because it seems like this is one that a lot of people keep bringing up. Yeah, I think what Ima's question is a little different though, because again, what I said is I'm like, well, they do acknowledge that once the mother boxes go to sleep, they lose the world amongst trillions of worlds. It's just they can't find it anymore. But I think what Ima is saying is, yeah, sure, but then the mother boxes wake up. Wouldn't they know that the planet with the mother boxes is the same planet as the anti-life equation? Yeah, I think so. I wish I had a better answer for you.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're all kind of stumped by this one to some degree or another.
Yeah. All right. Next message is from Julian. It says, hey guys, so I just finished Zack Snyder's Justice League. I thought it was a major improvement over the film in 2017. I've seen a lot of people agree with me and how I feel and even petition for the Snyderverse to be restored, which I'm all for. But part of me can't help but think, where was everybody when the DC movies were getting crapped on back in 2016 and 2017? I never saw anybody stand up for the movies like they're standing up for this one. It's just a little frustrating that now everybody wants to love DC movies when they were hating on them a couple years ago. I just want to know what your thoughts are. Julian. All right, thanks, Julian. Jamie, what do you think?
To address the last thing first, I guess, is I would rather somebody come around later than never.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not going to gripe about that.
Yeah. I also think that I think there are a number of reasons. First of all, I think Zack Snyder's Justice League has been better received than Man of Steel or Batman vs. Superman. So people like the movie more. More people like this movie than liked those movies. So the conversation around it is a lot more positive because of that. Because there are less of those controversial moments that I mentioned a little while ago. So I think that's a big part of it. I think, to what Brendan said on our review episode, like we have the luxury of hindsight where we saw the shit show that became of the theatrical cut. So now because we've seen that, we appreciate this one even more. And I think people are cutting this one even more slack because they saw what happened when they tried to quote unquote fix it in 2017. So I think there's that too. And I also think there are plenty of people who didn't like Man of Steel, who didn't like BVS, and who don't really like Justice League, who they're probably still saying that. It's just not as loudly. Maybe they didn't even give Justice League a chance because they didn't like those movies, but like there's still those people who weren't on board with this version of the DC universe, and they're still not going to be on board. So it's not like everybody has done a 180. I think that there's a number of things happening. And I think that the people who campaigned for Zack Snyder's Justice League, who've seen the movie, who love the movie, and even the people who maybe didn't campaign for it, but they saw it and went, it was actually pretty good. I just think those voices are louder right now than any of the dissenters. So I think that's the difference. I just think that, a lot of people didn't like Batman versus Superman. And that's not us, but a lot of people didn't. And I think that's why the attitude was very different in 2016 than it is now in 2021. So, yeah.
I don't really have anything more to add than that. I think I'm same page as you.
All right, well, we're getting to that 2-hour mark, and we have tons more emails. So I think we are going to have to do the official Justice League Q&A episode to get the rest of these done. So we'll do that next time. There's still plenty. So, but thank you to everybody who wrote in. We do appreciate hearing from you guys. We didn't get to read them all. That is just the way it goes. But thank you. If you do got a question, especially about Zack Snyder's Justice League, now is the time. Send that to Holy BatCast at rf4rm.com, and we will hopefully get to it next time. I will also say, there were a few emails that were out of date, stuff we had already addressed, that I did not read as well. So don't take it personally, but sometimes when we wait this long, it kind of becomes moot. We don't really have to address it. So it's nothing personal. It's just in the interest of time. But yep, send any questions about Justice League. We'll answer those next time. There is obviously a lot. But thank you guys so much. I'll also say you don't have to point out anymore that Lois was carrying a baby basket at the end of the movie. You don't have to point it out again. Got 100 of those when we said it was never addressed. Going, oh, no, it was addressed. We got it. Thank you. Noted. We're good. So anyway, we'll wrap it up. Jamie, always a pleasure.
Good times, man. Good times.
For sure. I was going to say tell people where they can catch up with you, but they can't.
You can't.
You're just going to disappear on a rooftop like Batman. I'll turn my back and you'll be gone. That's great.
I'm real when it's useful.
That's good. That's a good way to be. I appreciate it. But no, good to have you back. Good to talk some DC with you this evening.
Right on.
All right. Well, if you would like to follow me, I already told you where to do that, so you don't have to worry about it. But anyway, thank you guys as always for joining us and for downloading the show. We do appreciate it. Please do subscribe so you never miss an episode. Please rate and review us on Apple Podcasts. And as Michael Keaton's Batman says, Alfred, let's go shopping. No, he says, why don't you tell all your friends about me? Visit holybatcast.com. Follow us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. And again, if you got a message for the Wayne Manor mailbox, you can send that to holybatcast@rf4rm.com. We also got some great feedback on our new theme music, so a big ol' thank you to Gaurav Venkateshwar. His work is awesome. You can find it at gvtunes.com. So that'll do it. On behalf of Jamie, I've been Andy. We'll see you next time. Same bat time, same bat channel. Holy BatCast is not affiliated with Warner Brothers or DC Entertainment. The views and opinions shared by the participants are theirs and theirs alone and do not represent the companies or organizations they happen to work for.
Any questions?
And
Yes, that is your hand. Very good.
We're all gonna die.
I hope so.
Oh, for God's sake.